intervention of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, this is the OHCHR, which has called for a speedy, independent, and transparent investigation into all cases of human rights violations and excessive use of force by the National Police Service since June 2025. We also call for accountability for victims, and accountability for victims and survivors must be achieved. At this point, I will hand over to our Executive Director to read our asks.
I will continue. In light of everything, Fida Kenya will not remain silent. We therefore demand the following. 1. An immediate accountability from the Inspector General of the National Police Service. The officers who fired at peaceful protesters, invaded homes, or colluded with criminal gangs must be arrested and arraigned in court without delay. This includes the specialized officers who moved in Subaru vehicles and operated in plainclothes and terrorized residents of Ngong, Ngai, Juja, Kiserian, and other towns within Kenya. 2. An independent investigation into all reported cases of police brutality, abductions, and sexual violence, including rape and harassment. The survivors of these acts must be protected, supported, and granted access to justice. Thirdly, increased and heightened security measures are in place during protests in all medical facilities nationwide, which respond to the injured while continuing to provide routine medical services to the public during the protest period. 4. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, must expedite investigations into police conduct during the protests and release comprehensive reports to the public, including details of legal and disciplinary actions against those found to be responsible for the police excesses. 5. As the head of state, His Excellency President Dr. William Samoei Ruto must lead from the front. It is clear that the country is hurting, and we urge His Excellency the President to acknowledge the people's pain and initiate a process of accountability, justice reform, and healing. The growing rift between citizens and law enforcement is a serious concern if not urgently addressed. This rift could tear apart the social fabric of our beloved nation. Finally, the Federation of Women Lawyers, Fida Kenya, reiterates that Kenya must not slide backwards or allow fear to define our democracy. We stand in solidarity with all voices that are asking for justice and accountability. Therefore, we have activated a response center where we are offering legal aid and psychosocial support, including trauma care, to both women and men who were affected during the protests. We encourage all survivors and witnesses of police brutality, sexual violence, and intimidation to report the cases. Those in need of our services can call the following numbers: 0743 306287 or our toll-free line 0800 720 501, and you can also visit us along Amboseli Road, in Kitanga Road in Lavington in Nairobi, or any of our offices across the country in Kisumu and Mombasa. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. So we'll take a round of questions. And, yes, we'll take a round of questions and then do a come back. Anybody with a question? So you say your name and media house. That is Kamau Studio.
Yeah.
Kamau and TV.
Yeah. So my name is Kamau. I'm here from Daily Nation. I wanted to know how many cases of sexual violence has Fida received since the onset of these demonstrations. How many survivors do we have? Are we talking about right now?
Thank you. Next to come out.
I'm Simpro Zokinda from Ramogi TV. My question is on the numbers the number of people who have lost their lives since June 2024. As a group of lawyers, is there legal action that you guys have already done or are planning to do? And if it is something that continues, then where does it put us as Kenyans? Thank you.
Next.
John Matama, Citizen Radio. Maybe just give us a Swahili version.
A Swahili version. Okay, next. Who else has a question? So we can take those ones in case there's.
Our executive director will take the question. Okay. I'll start with a question on sexual sabotage of violence. And to give the explanation that first and foremost, even in ordinary circumstances, reporting cases of sexual violence is extremely difficult. You can only imagine in a situation such as protest how more difficult it is. As from June, the cases that we received were 21 that we're investigating to be able to isolate which one was specifically from the protest or protest related. Remember, what we are seeing is also a breakdown in law and order, and that is part of what we are really calling upon the National Police Service to help us address, because women and girls in particular, and even boys, are predisposed to sexual violence in any instance of anarchy. So those are the cases that we are addressing. In terms of the number of lives lost, Fida Kenya is part of the larger police reforms working group that we work with our colleagues in the sector, and we have been documenting at every instance what action we are taking. That does not limit us to seeking legal redress. We'll be looking at ensuring that the families of those who lost their loved ones have gotten justice, and justice takes many forms. There's a criminal element, and we'll also be pursuing compensation, because this is a loss of lives, loss of livelihoods, and even the trauma and the emotional anguish that they're going through by having to lose their loved ones is something we are going to pursue. I think it's not lost on us. We have even seen, as recently as yesterday, very unfortunate cases of mothers who are riding with their deceased children in their vehicles. That is trauma that can never be compensated for. So we'll be working very closely with colleagues in the sector to ensure that within the parameters of our constitution that is really broad and provides for various forms of redress, both nationally and also internationally, we'll be seeking and ensuring that the families of loved ones seek justice that can never bring back their loved